and selling whatever candy bars or whatever the fuck they're selling on the corner. TVs, because this is a kids movie, so they're not selling smack. They're like, yeah, man, we like sell Twinkies and TVs, and stolen TVs. That's what we're doing. That's part of our master plan. Not even I will say something though. I have no fucking idea what is Shredder's plan. What is he doing?
Well, that's just
is he just building an army?
That's just it, Sean. There is no why to anything in the first movie, and that's why I really snarl at people that are like, "Oh man, it's like such a serious, dark, noir, adult thing," and then they fucked it up in the second one. No, nothing makes sense in the first movie at all. Everything happens in like 3-minute bits that just roll into each other.
I would say the character arcs make sense though. Like the journey that the characters go on, there is some interesting subtext in the movie because there's all these parallels of fathers and sons, and Shredder's a father to the Foot Clan. April's boss has a son that's getting involved in the Foot Clan. They don't do a great job of developing this stuff, but it is there and it's supposed to be there. It's intentional that it's supposed to send a message about hey, take care of your, be a good parent, be a good father. Otherwise your kids are going to join the Foot Clan. Not everybody gets to be the Ninja Turtles. What? Sorry.
From a narrative perspective, nothing happens because something else happened. Like the Ninja Turtles just sit around waiting for shit to happen to them.
Well, we only know that they want to get the turtles because the turtles are beating up their guys in the street, and that's it. That's it.
And then when Splinter gets captured, the turtles literally just sit around until the Foot find them, and then when the Shredder and this is okay. We'll get into this later in the episode when I do my rewrite of these movies into a much better trilogy, but. The only thing that I would change about the first movie is when they see the Shredder for the first time, they're like, "Who's this guy?" They have no connection to this dude whatsoever. This dude has been fucking with them for the entire movie, and the Turtles are so disconnected from their own plot, that they're like, "Who's this guy?"
Well, because they're constantly just dealing with their immediate circumstances. Because everything that happens is very they're kind of big moments. There's 3 big moments for the characters, 3 big little set piece things. And I would agree with you that it doesn't have the strongest through line in terms of plot. It really doesn't. But
it can all be tied up so simply by doing one thing. Okay. First of all, get rid of second in command guy at the antique store scene. He didn't even give his likeness rights away. Okay. Fuck him. Get rid of him.
I know. That guy would be a sick toy too.
Or have him there as a second in command, but Shredder is at the antique store scene, maybe even at the very last second. So when Leonardo says who or what is this guy, but I guess they do the same line with Casey Jones in that scene, so you have to pick which character got the who or what is this guy line. But even still, if the Turtles just knew who Shredder was, 35 minutes earlier in the movie, that showdown at the end is going to have so much more juice. Now, as a 5-year-old, I didn't notice this, but as an adult, I the wind was kind of taken out of my sails. I'm like, wait, this is the first showdown between Ninja Turtles and the Shredders, and they're like, who or what is this guy? He's going to be making coleslaw.
He's like, hold on a second, this movie is bullshit. Aeneas Tinker, he has the answer. He says Shredder has a controlling interest in an insulin company. Have you ever seen a turtle get down? I'm just saying. Trembling also says QVC Dan is my favorite new character.
One quick thing to bring up. One quick thing to bring up though too is I timed it. Shredder doesn't actually make his first actual appearance until 35 minutes into the movie, which narratively speaking, that's a huge gamble if you're writing your main antagonist to show up so late in the game and not really know much about.
Well, it's because he kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I think fucking Shredder in the 90s Turtles is cool as fuck. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
His introduction is fucking awesome. It just looks cool. Yeah, it's foreboding and it's heavy and this is one thing I do want to mention at the top. This is a Golden Harvest movie. Golden Harvest used to make all of the action karate movies coming out of China, and then they started doing stuff in America. This feels like a real Golden Harvest movie. There's a version of this movie that Jackie Chan is in. You know what I mean? It actually looks like one of those movies because they didn't have a ton of money for their budget. I think there's disputes somewhere between $8 and $12 million. Most of that money went to the Turtles. So their ability to do lighting, set design was a little bit limited. But they made the best of it though. They really utilized what they had. Necessity truly is the mother of invention. Because I think the movie looks great. Like I love the look of the movie. Like it's so different than anything else I've seen from this era of like something specifically made for like kids. Like I said, it looks like a real movie. It doesn't look like
It is
like
that
a ninja.
Scene when the shredder is introduced. That scene is so much heavier than it has any right to be. I mean, for a fucking kids movie based off a comic book about ninja fighting amphibians, like that shredder introduction scene is like a fucking James Cameron scene. Like,
dude, it's so big. Fucking rad. We're just gonna take a second.
Look at the lighting and the framing of it, and the way that before Shredder even enters the frame, his shadow looms over everything like the fucking Empire State Building.
Like, look how cool
behind it. Yeah, and it's just like all of this was done on purpose. This is fucking Citizen Kane shit, dude. Like, come on.
Oh, and then that score comes in.
Yes, John Dupree.
Dude, come on. Dude, I'm telling you, our kids get so fucked over. Like, nothing like this would ever be done today.
This is the spoils of 1990.
The spoils, exactly. Because honestly, it's because they didn't really understand the demographic. Like when they made this movie, they actually kind of weren't trying to make a kids movie specifically. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were very concerned with, like, no, we kind of want the movies to be their own thing. We want them to be closer to the comics. That was always kind of a fight that they had with whoever was making the movie, Golden Harvest at this point, because the studio wants a return on their product. In fact, he was even, I think, kind of fired, Steve Barron, the director, because they saw the footage and they're like, "This is way too dark, dude. What are you doing?" Because they're if you're a producer, you're thinking of the cartoon, and then you get the dailies and you see Shredder's introduction. You're like, that's not like the cartoon. It's so good.
Is this one continuous shot?
Yes.
Yep. No dialogue. Explains itself.
With the light glinting off the armor, like they had to set that shot up for hours to get that light to glint off of it just right.
Yeah.
No, it looks great. Like I said, they just, necessity being the mother of invention, like they found like a fucking warehouse. Obviously there's limited lights here, right? And they just did it. They just nailed it. Actually, who is the DP on this movie? Because he did a great job. Whoever he is should get a raise.
Judith Ho got DP on this movie.
Maybe a little bit more than that.
A guy named John Fenner.
Fucking bitch to everybody and kind of blew the whole thing, and it's part of the reason why the second one is so much different.
It was shot by John Fenner, who did Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, and The Borrowers.
That makes sense because he's a Jim Henson guy.
Yeah.
Which actually, even thinking about like the cinematography in those movies, it's actually not bad. They're not bad. So it makes sense. But yeah, the movie's just got like such a cool look to it.
Yeah.
I've always really appreciated that. And coming back to it as an adult, I think that's when people are talking about like the darker tone of it, I think that's kind of what people are responding to, is really just the aesthetic. Because they did tons of stuff in post to essentially try to like lighten it up. Like all the goofy cartoon sound effects, stuff like that. I think that's what people, that's what people are kind of responding to when they say that. I mean, I agree with you. Like, you're a grown ass person. Like, shut up. Who cares? Like, who cares if the Ninja Turtles are a little silly? Stop. Right. No, dude, I want the dark and serious one. I'm like, have you read those comics? Because like, I understand that they're like more like edgier, but they're not any more like sophisticated. They're pretty dumb.
Yeah, the whole
they're pretty silly.
They're parodic. They were making fun of Daredevil and shit.
Yes,
and how stupid it was. And the original drawings of the turtles were like way more turtle-like, with like the nunchucks taped to their paws and stuff. And like the silliness of it is one of the cornerstones. The blending of tones is why it works so well.
Well, it's because because if they take an absurd premise, which is Ninja Turtles, and they put them in a real world, yes. and the absurdity of the premise does the kind of the heavy lifting, and it doesn't require you to really kind of keep pointing it out. Like, we all get it. Like, it just immediately is something that it just locks in your mind. You're like, okay, I can kind of understand how I'm supposed to feel about this just based on the premise alone. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think that the tone of the first movie may be slightly darker, but it's like, let's not confuse the lighting of a scene with how silly the actual movie is.
Well, I mean, it does deal with more, I would say, like, heavier themes than 2 or 3 does. Like, it does.
You're
I mean,
right.
like, Shredder is like literally
into things.
I mean, and Splinter's like literally crucified at one point, and just like mangy, and like blood is coming out of his nose and snot and whatnot.
Casey Jones crushes Shredder in a trash compactor. You know, from the time I was a kid, dude, that has always made me feel a certain way. It's kind of like watching Misery and watching the hobbling scene. I feel that way about the trash compactor. I'm like, oh my, what an awful way to go.
It's led to one of my son's favorite, like, man insults, like when he and I are like jiving on one another. One of his favorite go-tos is, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna put you in the garbage truck." Damn, that means that you're done, son.
Yeah, your son, is he really took to Casey Jones?
He loves Casey Jones
because Casey Jones is fucking cool. I mean, like, when I was a kid, I loved Casey Jones.
That's the thing that all these fucking producers and parent groups don't understand. Little boys love to be scared and they love to be violent. Okay, and Casey Jones knocks both of those off the list. He is a fucking hockey mask wearing psychopath. He wears this in the park and beats muggers with fucking golf clubs and shit.
Well, he's like a goof on the Punisher, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, why wouldn't little boys absolutely adore Casey Jones? And that's why they gutted him out of the second movie, because
too violent.
The